Live from Hong Kong, it's the Goldthread Show with your host Victoria Ho and guest hosts Gavin Huang and Clarissa Wei. Our special guest for today, the man that has eaten at over 7,000 restaurants, David R. Chan, and so much more. You're watching the Goldthread Show.
Hey everybody! Welcome to the brand new Goldthread Show. We're coming to you live from our studio in Hong Kong, and we're starting this regular show to mark turning a year old. We've got a big show for you today. We're going to talk about what's happening on Chinese social media, and we're bringing on a guest that you asked for, David Chan. David is the guy that's eaten at over 7,000 Chinese restaurants in the US, and many of you thought his obsession was fascinating, and some thought it was inspiring too. And because we're live, drop questions and comments throughout the show to chat with us. Finally, for those of you who knew we were celebrating turning 1, you guys are also here to see if you've won some of our new swag, like our caps and tote bags and playing cards. We'll show those off and we'll announce the winners at the end of the show, so stay with us. In the lead up to our anniversary, we put together some of our favorite moments over the past year. Let's roll 2 of our clips and we'll have some of our producers on to tell you about them.
When you're young, you kind of think Americanized culture is cooler than your own culture. Like, it's a very normal thing to think about when you're a kid.
As a child, I hated Chinese food. Matter of fact, for years, the only Chinese food I would eat was soy sauce and rice.
In the US, what we understand to be Chinese food is actually quite singular. I think there's so much color and there's so much dynamism in Chinese food that it's kind of our job to keep adding to it.
I felt like in the West, people knew Sichuan food as just the stereotypical extremes, like the diabolic heat or the face-numbing spice. But I think as an outsider coming into Sichuan, it's easy to miss the subtleties that are underneath.
My motivation to change the world and create impact in some way is much higher than being a chef who wins awards and accolades.
I want to share who I am a little bit more through the food I understand and the food I grew up eating.
I'm always trying to think about that one moment in time where I had my favorite bowl ever, and I'm trying to recreate what that flavor is.
It's funny because my dad never thought that I would be a chef. I think it's really awesome that I can make him proud by doing something that he loves so much too.
Hi, my name is Mei Chow.
Hi, I'm David R. Chan.
My name is Lucasen.
I'm Dory Fang.
My name is Jenny Gao.
My name's Peggy.
My name is Jimmy Wei.
My name is Richard Ho.
Shoo, 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 shoo.
Hi Nick. This is Nick. Nick is our producer that's been with us from the start of this journey. He edited the 2 clips that you just saw. Nick, we have to talk about that first clip.
Yeah.
It was really emo.
Yeah, the clip was about chefs, and I think food is such a big thing for Goldthread, and I've interviewed some of the chefs. I work with, I edited a lot of the food videos, and I found that there's always something in common between them. It's the fact that they don't just cook for food, they always cook for some higher ideology, right? So when I edit that video, I was trying to find something in common. And then I heard that really good soundbite from Mei Chow, the first chef. She said that it's very common for young people to think that for people to think that Americanized culture is cooler than our own
Mei
culture.
Chao is a chef with what, Happy Paradise?
Yes, and Little
Little
Bao.
Bao,
Yeah.
right, in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and I think that soundbite is very Goldthread. So I started with that soundbite, and then I tried to like put together a story, and then our editor Gavin helped script in it, and eventually we had this wonderful piece. I really like that piece. Yeah, like you said, it's very emotional.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments on that one.
Mhm.
But you know, the second, I was just imagining you cutting the second one.
Yeah.
And thinking about, I mean, Nick, we just turned 1, right? Like I said. And Nick has been with us for pretty much the start of the journey. Tell us about some of your memories. You must have had so many when you were going back through all those clips.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like what we're doing right now, it's been a year, and then we're celebrating our birthday. A year ago, I still remember our first trip was to Chengdu, and we went there for 10 days. Like the 4 of us went there for 10 days. None of us know what to do, what we're doing, and what we're trying to do. So I was basically just like pointing our camera into people's face, hoping for the best. And then we end up with a bunch of random footage, which eventually is a good thing because we're still using those footage until today. So it's the whole thing. It's a big learning process for us.
We've been collecting B-roll for a year.
Yeah.
Actually, what I remember from your Chengdu trip was you basically saying that you didn't realize how spicy food could be.
Oh my God, yes. Well, I did train up though. Thanks
You
for
trained
that.
up?
Yeah, I trained up. Thanks to that trip, I came from eating like the lowest level of spiciness, Mixian.
Right, because Hong Kong food is not very spicy.
Yeah.
Right, and you grew up in Canada, so also not spicy.
Yeah. After I came back, I love spicy food.
Tell me about some of the other moments that you remember in the last year. I mean, you've gone from all the times you've had to go hiking with Clarissa. I always feel like you started to love hiking, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a city boy, and it's good that now I have an excuse to hike more. And like just seeing how Clarissa reacts to nature is super fun to shoot, because we all know that Clarissa is like so down to earth.
The last time we had a live cast, you talked about that crazy story about mushrooms.
Yes.
But I still think a lot of people haven't heard that story yet. That was during that was another Clarissa trip.
Yeah.
Tell us about your trip.
Oh man, like we went to Yunnan to shoot this stories about mushroom town. So basically this town, everybody depends on like foraging mushroom. And then we met up with this this guy,
right?
yeah, that was supposed to bring us to forage mushroom. But the night before, we went out to drink, and I feel like it's really nice hospitality. So I went out with him. We drank till like 2 a.m. and then he insists on driving me home, and I thought, okay, he doesn't look that drunk, so I thought, and then the drive was like 5 minutes away, so I hopped in a car with him, and then we end up crashing the car 30 seconds in.
Immediately.
And then he started getting so emotional. He started like apologizing and thanking me for being his bro. I mean, the whole thing, we end up didn't go and foraging with him, but we foraged with our taxi driver there.
The story turned out great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I can't complain.
If we can say that. Thank you so much, Nick.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to roll another clip to show you. This was another one of our anniversary clips, and this one's pretty trippy. We'll bring on the producer that made that one right after this.
中国的文人喜欢向往在山林当中建几个小筑，就做这个几个房子，然后和童子们一起在山林当中就是吃饭，然后跟大自然进行亲密的接触。
中国人呢都讲究道法自然，现在呢我们讲和谐、和平、和美、和顺。
I think it's important if you learn to turn your imagination to something three-dimensional.
人家啲近嚟就拉咗都不一樣，好嗎？
use the knife as a way not to end life, but actually to regenerate life.
But now I feel the whole body in this calm.
至于大家觉得好，那你可以这样去参考、参照执行，我们只是一种建议。
Oh my god. Sorry, we're just laughing because the folks in the control room were telling us to pat down Joel's hair. Please let me introduce Joel to you. Joel is our very, very talented video editor who made that ridiculously trippy video you just saw. But before that, I also wanted to say hi to everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Some of you are saying that, you know, the videos are making you very hungry. Some of you guys were asking about Easter eggs. I noticed there was one. I don't know if a lot of you guys caught it, but there was a Doctor Who reference at the end of the merch video with our tote bags. Go check that out. But don't go away from this video, so check that out later. Obviously. Anyway, this is Joel.
Hi.
Joel is from Australia, and he joined us, what, 6 months ago?
No, I reckon it's getting on maybe 9.
Oh my god.
August. It's coming up to a year.
Tell us about that trippy video first. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was
we were
amazing.
kind of, given the directive to make some sort of mashup for the anniversary. I mean, I think it was going back to some of the things Nick said about mushrooms, and Clarissa's always off gallivanting around the countryside, whether it be, you know, in China.
You know, although Joel does a lot of our edits, occasionally we let him out.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
They let me away from the desk.
And then you go running around. Tell us about some of the stories that you shot recently.
We've been... recently, I was just in China with one of the producers, Venus, shooting a dragon boat story.
That was crazy.
That just came out last week. That was fun. A group of quite amazing women.
You know, one of the things that you guys don't get to see is how well Joel gets along with all the aunties in the office here. How was that? How was
it was good. Everyone
the interaction
was
with
super
all the
welcoming
dragon boat aunties?
And really, yeah, talented, amazingly fit people. They train 6 days a week, and yeah, it was quite an experience. Even just being on the boat trying to shoot footage, you're going quite fast. So yeah, no, they were amazing. Other stories, I think I've been out once with Clarissa. I know she drags Nick around a lot, but I think I got to go on one foraging shoot in Hong Kong. So maybe there was some inspiration there. We're out eating lots of naturally growing weeds and plants in Hong Kong. And that was quite amazing, some of the things you could find and just eat along the paths in the trails and that sort of thing. And I think there's another video in there, this Dragonwell Manor. It was a farm to table, one of the most exclusive ones in China. I think Hanley shot a trailer, even edited a trailer, and he used some pretty trippy effects in there, so that might have kind of also came into the mix a little bit.
I thought everything blended together quite well. I mean, like a big fever dream, basically our entire time here with Goldthread.
Clarissa in one point.
Yeah, I think so. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Vic.
Just wanted to get you guys to see this genius right here.
Thank you.
Since you guys are here, you're getting a chance to see Friday's video story ahead of time before we get to our next segment, talking about what's hot in China.
This is why we flew all the way to Chongqing Hot Pot, spiced with a generous heaping of peppercorns and chili peppers. For newcomers, it can and will wreak havoc on the digestive system. The people in Chongqing are absolutely addicted to it.
重庆的火锅店有上万家，平均每隔几十米就有一家。火锅对于重庆人来说，它不仅是一种美食，更是一种文化。
Hot pot restaurants are so plentiful in Chongqing that there are markets dedicated to supplying them with their key ingredients, like seafood and tripe. They open when restaurants close and close when the restaurants open.
一般都是晚上9点钟左右开门，开到早上它再关门。这是9宫格。最早以前的话，大家就是一人一个格子这样吃，一群人都不认识这样坐着。现在用这个格子，就是因为大家觉得很方便，可以把那个菜放在不同的格子里面烫。比如说中间这个主要是烫毛肚这些，因为它温度是最高的，中间这个温度。必点的就是这个毛肚和鹅肠，还有老肉片，这3样，我觉得是必点的。最开始选择这些食材来煮火锅，是因为这个火锅是江边的纤夫发明的，他们也没什么钱，就当时这些都很便宜，然后他们就拿来吃，然后发现味道其实还不错。
Gathering around a pot was also an affordable way for people to eat together and socialize. Hot pot culture in China goes back more than 3,000 years, and the obsession isn't just confined to Chongqing. You can find it as far as the States and in nearly every city in China. Every city has their own recipe, but only in Chongqing do they use pure beef lard.
更麻更辣一些，没有牛油的火锅它失去了灵魂。
To balance out the spiciness, this tea, which reportedly has a cooling effect, is added to the broth throughout the meal. Sesame oil is used as a dipping sauce to dilute the heat.
它不仅是一种美食，更是一种文化，一种对生活的态度，是一种必需品。高兴了可以吃一顿火锅，喜上加喜；不高兴了，然后吃一顿火锅就没这么难过了。
And welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That's airing this Friday. I think Clarissa made that one on Hot Pot. Hot Pot's always a good one. Before I get to introducing Gavin, somebody on, was it Facebook? Somebody on Facebook asked us, how do I get a job like Clarissa's? The answer is we were incredibly lucky to meet Clarissa in the first place. She's been, she was freelancing for many years, getting all her resources and contacts and everything. And also she really likes hiking and she's super rugged. So we just throw her all these wild stories to do. So please get in touch with us regardless. Anyway, I wanted to talk about what's hot in China. And for that, I have Gavin, our editor. Gavin often talks to me actually on a daily basis about stuff that's popping on Chinese social media and the Chinese internet. But what's the most important thing is, I think, for those of you who know, we're sitting here in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, there's a big protest going on right now. The protest is regarding an extradition law.
Proposed extradition law.
Proposed extradition law. But we wanted to talk about one of the things that stood out to Gavin in that.
Yeah.
And that is?
So, of course, there was a big protest, and on Sunday, organizers say there were over 1 million people at that protest. And as with any giant march and rally, there are a lot of creative signs, a lot of creative protest signs. And one thing that caught my eye was the use of Pikachu.
Pikachu, like the Pokemon.
In protest signs, yes, the Pokemon. And there's a long story to Pikachu being used as a symbol in this protest. One is that one of the government officials that's supporting the extradition law is his name in Chinese, or at least in Cantonese, sounds a bit like the Cantonese pronunciation of Pikachu.
Interesting, I guess.
So that's why they're using Pikachu to reference this government official who's supporting this very unpopular proposal. And there's actually a long history with Pikachu in Hong Kong, and actually the way it's pronounced in Chinese.
Interesting.
A few years ago, Nintendo decided to change the Chinese name of Pikachu. I know it sounds a little weird to be able to say that you can change the name of something in Chinese.
Well, I guess it's a translation, right? In the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me what. So Hong Kong was the main target market for
for a long
Pokemon,
time.
For a long time.
Right. Nintendo was targeting the Hong Kong market.
Sure.
And of course in Hong Kong people speak Cantonese.
Right.
And
so what is Pikachu in Cantonese?
In Cantonese is Bei Ga Tu. Bei Ga Tu.
Bei Ga Tu. Okay.
But then recently, actually 3 years ago, they decided to change it to the Mandarin pronunciation, which is Pikachu.
Sure. And that's so?
And
I mean, those are different
in
words?
Cantonese, that sounds like 北嘎药, which doesn't sound like Pikachu at all.
See, that sounds like an ointment.
Yeah, 北嘎药. Yeah, right. So a lot of Hong Kongers got mad, and in fact, some even protested outside the Japanese consulate. We've got a photo from Quartz showing some people actually standing outside the Japanese consulate with Pikachu dolls, saying that they were protesting the name change.
Because Pikachu is symbolic of this. Well, I mean, I guess Cantonese is very much. It's people
It's
people
part
do
of like
draw
Hong
that.
Kong culture.
Right,
I think the language is part of its
right?
local identity, and then Pikachu is a common childhood reference for anyone. And so I think it just shows how important even all these like sort of cultural touch points can be in identifying politics and identifying one's sort of local identity and how one chooses to identify oneself with in a group.
Mm-hmm.
That's something even as innocuous as Pikachu can get political.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, that also that also reminds me of something else that happened that was big this week. I mean, just talking about like sort of big mobs and
big crowds of people.
Well, not a mob, but like big activations.
Yeah. Over in mainland China.
Right, over in mainland China. A huge crowd of people gathered outside Uniqlo.
Yeah, actually in Hong Kong too, there was like a huge line outside Uniqlo for this new collaboration between KAWS, the American artist, and Uniqlo.
I think folks need to see the video.
Oh yeah.
To get a picture of this.
Of like how crazy this.
Yeah, you need to see this. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the South China Morning Post
Right.
video of this mayhem.
What can you explain why people are even crazy about this? I mean, neither Uniqlo nor KAWS, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah.
They're both big in China. The thing is like every time Uniqlo does a collaboration, it's a huge thing. It's people line up for it the way they would line up for a Supreme collab or new Nike shoes. And the thing with this collection was that it was KAWS said this would be his last collaboration with Uniqlo, and so people were going crazy for it. I think in China there were some people joking on social media that this was just that some people didn't even know what they were buying. Like it's just like it's just this sort of desire to compete and win and get something before anyone else can.
I think that's okay. I mean, I get that. I think that's relatively universal. I mean, that's the whole reason why Supreme gets to sell bricks, right, in the first place, right?
And bricks.
Like, right? They sell bricks and they sell fireman hatchets or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm imagining this, but maybe I'm not.
Right.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? The whole, I mean, what people are grabbing stuff off mannequins and, but didn't you tell me that story about the guy who said that he didn't want to wear?
There was someone on social media who said that a friend had given them a KAWS shirt, and he was so scared of wearing it outside because he thought everyone would think that he basically looted it from the store.
But isn't that the whole point? Like, you go crazy for this stuff just so that you can be the only person wearing it.
Yeah, but I think with like the video clips coming out, people just sort of think like, oh,
They're
were you
like,
part of that crowd
"Oh,
that was
so
just sort
ugly."
of ducking under doors to like grab shirts as quickly
You know,
as possible?
it's actually too bad that you can't get like, I don't know, you can't get like food delivery, right? This other story that I want to talk to you about is pretty similar,
More
at
hype.
least in terms of the psyche. So we want to roll a clip where we show you White Rabbit milk tea. This was a pop-up that happened in China.
中国的文人喜欢向往在山林当中建几个小筑。
I think what people need to know is that was a 3-hour line to get to that.
For like milk tea that
milk tea, okay.
apparently is supposed to be like made with white rabbit, but
Okay,
people were saying it doesn't even taste like white rabbit.
Let's rewind this story first. First of all, you guys need to know what White Rabbit candy is. White Rabbit candy is that iconic sweet, that iconic candy from China. It's got the rice paper wrapping on it. Well, the White Rabbit company said that they were coming out with a milk tea.
Yeah, because they were celebrating their 60th anniversary this year.
I see.
And they decided to open up pop-up stores in Shanghai. They're still running, by the way. If you're in Shanghai, you can go wait for 3 hours if you want.
Or, as I was saying, or you can get a delivery guy to go like line up for you.
Yeah, if you have like $70 to spare.
Right, 70 USD. So there was a black market that like popped up immediately. Are you even surprised? Well, how much is a cup first?
It's okay, so if you wait online, it's going to be $3 US for like a cup of milk tea that supposedly tastes like white rabbit.
Okay. Okay, Gavin's very doubtful that it tastes like white rabbit.
Not the only one.
It's vanilla. It's not hard to imagine that it could taste like white rabbit.
But then if you're too lazy to wait online,
but if you're too lazy to wait in line,
you can pay $70 US to buy it after someone else has already bought it.
Right.
Or you can ask someone to wait online for you.
That's a 10-time markup. It's amazing.
It's more than 10 times.
That's true. Sorry, it's a 20-time markup.
70 divided by 3, go.
2 and 20 something. Anyway, yeah. So people were paying a lot for this. I imagine that the taste might be kind of. Well, the thing is, White Rabbit. It's
just vanilla.
It's not just vanilla. So like, we're not in agreement about this. But White Rabbit is not just vanilla. It tastes like something else.
Plastic.
It's not plastic. It's like the rice paper and the. Come on. Yeah. Well, anyway, regardless, if you can't stand it, imagine drinking a whole cup of it.
Yeah, no.
Anyway. Thank you, Gavin.
Thank you.
Coming up next, Clarissa Wei will be talking with our special guest, David Chan. But before that, here are a few clips from our previous story with David.
Hi, I'm David R. Chan, and as of today, February 12, 2019, I've eaten at 7,440 plus Chinese restaurants. But what happened is about 30 years ago, and I probably think of maybe 500 Chinese restaurants at that time, and I decided, well, maybe I should start keeping track of where I've been to prevent inadvertently going to the same restaurant twice.
David is a retired tax lawyer and third-generation Chinese American from Los Angeles. I met him 7 years ago on an online food forum called Chowhound, and asked him to meet me for lunch when I noticed he knew an enormous amount about Chinese restaurants in America. He told me he had this massive list of restaurants accumulated over the years.
On an Excel spreadsheet where I list the number of the restaurants chronological order, name of the restaurant, and address of the restaurant.
And that he had a collection of menus to go with them.
When I started eating at Chinese restaurants, I thought I should have something from that restaurant. For me, really the preferred item is a business card. But some restaurants don't have business cards, they have menus. So basically these are menus from places I went to that didn't have a business card.
And so I ended up writing an article on him and drew attention to his list. But David's spreadsheet is much more than just a list of Chinese restaurants across the United States. It also sheds light on the evolution of the Chinese food scene in Los Angeles.
First time you were here in '92?
Yes, it was a really big deal when Ocean Star opened up.
Has the crowd changed, or the food, or the atmosphere?
Well, when it opened in 1992, I was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Everybody had their banquet here. It was just something really phenomenal.
The list is also a collection of David's memories and his road trips across America.
Are any particular numbers special to you?
Well, usually I try to make 100 a restaurant that it's unlikely for me to return to.
So 100 is Cincinnati, Ohio.
I was only in Cincinnati, Ohio for like 2 hours. Yes, it's a special number.
Let's see, 1,000.
Which is
do you remember?
Yeah, it's this fast food place in Niagara Falls. It turns out this is my life history. And for example, once I went, how many times have I been to San Francisco? I go back and count and say, oh, I've been there 93 times. So I used to use the yellow pages just to see what I kind of feel on what I hadn't been to yet. But at some point in time, I got current, which means I'd eaten at every Chinese restaurant that was currently opening. So what I would do is drive the streets.
So somebody just said on Facebook that if I ate at a Chinese restaurant every single day, it would take me more than 20 years to get as many as David did. Thank you, May. Let me introduce Clarissa first. This is Clarissa, who did the story that you just watched.
Hello. Yeah, so we managed to get a follow-up Skype interview with David on top of the interview we already did, with some questions that you guys wanted to ask, and that question we actually addressed yesterday when we recorded this conversation.
Perfect. Let's roll that video.
Let's roll it. Thank you so much, David, for joining us today all the way from Los Angeles. Our video of you did really, really well, so I'm just going to ask you some follow-up questions, and mostly questions that I got from the comment thread on the video. First of all, just out of curiosity, did you get any responses or feedback after our video was published?
You got a very good reception.
And how did your family members react? I remember you sent me a message saying that your wife loved it. That's a huge compliment.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think everybody in the family was quite impressed.
And then a big reoccurring question that we got on all of our platforms, I would say, is how do you stay so skinny after eating at more than 7,000 Chinese restaurants since the 50s? What is your secret to such a slim figure?
Well, it's actually entwined with my personal philosophy on weight control, because like 35 years ago, I saw a picture of me, I thought to myself, I'm kind of chubby. So what I decided is that I would weigh myself every day, and without changing my lifestyle that much, I would just control how much I ate.
And one thing we didn't really touch on the video that I don't think most people realize is the amount of distance you drive weekly to go to these Chinese restaurants. Can you tell us a little bit about that, especially the people based internationally who don't really know the landscape of Los Angeles?
I live in the Hollywood Hills near the Hollywood sign. Most of the Chinese food in the LA area is the good food is in the San Gabriel Valley, which is a good, depending on whether you're talking about the West Valley or the East San Gabriel Valley, is 15 to 30 miles from here. When I was working, actually, I wasn't too bad because I was working downtown, so that was 10 miles to the east. So actually, it was fairly convenient to go out to San Gabriel Valley. But now, these days, it's in Hollywood, it's a pretty good drive to get out to the San Gabriel Valley.
So you would spend an hour, maybe even more with traffic on the weekly just to get to Chinese food?
Well, no, I'm not that crazy. I just kind of time my driving.
Fair.
So it may take an hour, hour and a half during rush hour, but if you go off hour, maybe half hour, that's not too bad.
And speaking of the San Gabriel Valley, a lot of our video that we filmed last time talked a lot about historical trends. I was sort of wondering if you have any insights for future trends in the Chinese food scene in America in general.
Well, I think there are several. I think if you look at Los Angeles, you have the issue of, which is actually the one I think you wrote about, kind of based on some of the information you got from my spreadsheets about the changing geographic locus of Chinese food in the Los Angeles area, where 40 years ago it started out in Monterey Park, and for the next 40 years it's marched eastward from there, good 30, 40, 50 miles into the Chino Hills and to Corona. So that's one change, and Chinese people, especially in the LA area, they love new houses. So what they do is they basically, and over a period of decades, have followed the new residential subdivisions, and which typically are built further and further from the central city. So you see that geographic movement, and then as we talked about in the video, you also have the flip in the from Cantonese food to more mainland regional cuisines.
Throughout the years since the articles of you have come out, as well as this video, you've been getting a lot of recognition as well as restaurant invites. What are some of the most notable trips and restaurant invites that you have gotten as a result of this fame?
Well, it hasn't been that many, but interestingly, we just came back from San Francisco, where we got an invitation to try out a new restaurant, Palette Dim Sum and Tea House, which is another branch of Dragon Bowl restaurant.
Oh wow! So the Dragon Bowl people, which in our video you stated was the best Chinese restaurant in the United States, reached out to you.
Right. Yeah, because they saw the video. And I had been in contact with them previously because I had also once written a blog post to the point that, in my opinion, Dragon Bowl was the best Chinese restaurant in the United States. And they saw the video, and I guess that reminded them of our prior conversation. So they said, hey, next time you're in San Francisco, come on by. We'd like you to try our new restaurant. So we did that last week. And we just got the royal treatment. We got to try like a dozen items off their menu, and it was personally served by the general manager. And so that was really a fantastic experience.
Wow. David, how do you respond to negative online comments people who are like, oh, you didn't post a photo, or we saw a lot on our video comments that people are like, they dispute your claim that Dragon Bowl is the best restaurant in California or the United States, which of course is ridiculous because favoritism is very subjective. But how do you deal with these comments?
If it's opinion, I don't let that bother me. If it's factual, I will respond. I think, for example, somebody disputed the fact that I've been to so many Chinese restaurants. I did the math. How can you go to that many Chinese restaurants? Well, fortunately, I've gotten that reaction so many times. I actually wrote a reply about that, which explains the math. And number one, I linked that article in a response to that particular comment. And I mean, the answer is that I've been doing this for over 40 years, and especially when I'm out of town, like I go to New York or San Francisco on business. Let's say I'm in New York a week, I'll eat, at least 3 meals a day, each at a different Chinese restaurant. and then I'll get a snack somewhere else. So in that 1 week, I could pick up, 30 Chinese restaurants right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing how thorough you are and how meticulous of a record you keep of all of this too.
Being an accountant will do that.
Well, thank you so much, David, for coming in from Los Angeles and speaking to us. I know it's late for you over there, and I'm sure we will have another interview in the future. It seems to be like a reoccurring pattern.
Okay, well, it's always nice to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Welcome back, guys. Yes, as you can see, we're about to talk about merch. But before I get to Clarissa's cap, which is very fetching, by the way, I wanted to talk about that interview you just did. David must be very used to being interviewed by you.
He is very used to being interviewed by me, or rather, I'm used to talking to him and asking him questions.
Weren't you the first person to interview him?
Yeah, and the first time I met him, he was like, this is of no interest to anyone, but I have this gigantic spreadsheet of over 6,000 restaurants I've eaten at, documented in an Excel spreadsheet. And
now it's 7,000.
Now it's 7,000.
That's insane. Well, I'm really glad you got to reconnect with him. So, as you guys can see, Clarissa is modeling our brand new merch, our cap. It's
Doesn't fit
very
that
nice.
way.
Yes, she's wearing it the right way. So, logo right there, logo right there. We've also got a tote bag.
Tote bag.
And iron-on patches. Oh no, what am I doing?
Bows.
No, this is difficult. This is so complicated.
The mask. Nick's camera. Our logo.
Okay.
Mahjong tiles.
Amazing.
That you can iron on this thing for your clothes.
So we're very, very excited to give it out. We wanted to do a big giveaway this time. Somebody's going to regret this. Probably me, when we're packing all of these things.
No.
But we're giving a whole bunch of things away to people. So if you see your name on the screen, you've won something. Or
You've won.
At least a way to hear from us as well. So, and I also want to show you guys our amazing playing cards.
But the other way.
But the other way, it makes more sense. So, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we've designed this deck specifically for this occasion. We're very proud of it. It's different food as different suits, and I really like this. Check it out. The queen of bao is holding a big char siu bao.
It's the same one?
Is it the same one? No. Oh wait, yeah. Nice. So I hope you guys stay with us. We will be back same time, same place in 2 weeks' time on June the 25th.
And please comment and tell us who you want to be interviewed or where you want us to go for our next story. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
By the way, if you guys thought that name list was too quick, we'll be reaching out to you, so no worries. See you next time.
Goodbye.
You've been watching The Goldthread Show. Make sure to tune in to our next live stream coming on June 25th, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. See you then.